Okay, why do you prune a tree? To foster future growth. Okay, you're cutting off the dead wood so the resources can be focused on the healthy limbs. The most dramatic example of this I've ever come across is in Japan. If you ever want to eat well in Japan, I mean, there are a lot of places to eat well, but one of the best places to eat is in the basement of the major department stores. All the produce, all the fish, all the breads, it's phenomenal, but it is really expensive. So a friend of mine took me, we were in the Ginza, where were we? The Matsukaya store. I don't know why I remember that, I just remember that. He said, come on, let's go get something to eat, and I want to show you something. So we go downstairs, and of course it's just glitzy, it's beautiful. He took me over to the produce, and the first thing he showed me was a little, I think it was like 3 peaches in this beautiful little package. I'm sure he showed me the peaches because I'm from Georgia, right? We have Peachtree Street. Anybody know how many Peachtree Streets we have here? Okay, there's 18 Peachtree Streets in Atlanta, so how the GPS figures that out, I don't know. I guess it doesn't. That's the problem. So anyway, then he had me look at the price tag. Well, at that point, I wasn't all that familiar with the yen to dollar conversion ratios. He said, well, it's around 100, and my jaw almost dropped. Those 3 peaches, I think, cost $17. I thought, well, maybe it's something about the peaches. So then we looked at a little bundle of cherries, about this big, and it was $14. And then we went and looked at the grapes, okay, and a little bundle, all beautifully packaged, was like, $16. And I was going, that's a really nice bundle of cherries, but they ain't that good. I mean, that's $1 per cherry. So I asked him, I said, why is that so expensive? He said, well, what they do is when the plant, is beginning in season, they look at the fruit coming up on the plant, they analyze it, they find the 10% that is the healthiest in terms of limbs on the tree or vines on the plant, and they cut off the other 90%. So the full resources of the plant are devoted to the 10% that are the healthiest. And when I tried that fruit, it's the best tasting stuff you've ever eaten. Why do they do that? Because they can charge $17 for the bundle of cherries. That's right. What was funny is, I guess it was the next trip over there, my wife and kids were with me. So we were over in Niigata, it's on the other side of Japan, and the president of the business that we were consulting with invited us to his home for dessert. And it's very rare, in Japan they don't invite people into the homes very often because the homes are so small. Well, this money was no object with Mr. Takizawa, so he invited us over. Our kids were like, 10 and 12 years old. We sit down, on the tatami mats with the table there in the middle of the room, and they bring in dish after dish after dish of this fruit that I've just been telling you about. I would bet you there's $1,000 worth of fruit sitting on that table. So I remember telling the children, I said, okay, be very careful with this fruit. Don't drop it, okay? And when you eat it, whether you like it or not, you need to make a really big deal about it, And so we enjoyed that fruit that day. But the point of it is the pruning. It's the same thing in a business. With the SKUs and the customers, it's the same basic idea. That's the segmentation piece. It's hard work. People don't like to do it. Okay? Sometimes somebody invented that SKU. But what tends to happen is the new SKUs come in and nobody gets rid of the old SKUs. That's the purging factor. So with some of our clients, when they get ahead of this game, if you want to bring a new SKU in, you have to say which one it's going to replace. Finally, my wife got good with this in our closet at home. It was starting to look like Imelda Marcos, with all the shoes and dresses. And finally, she got hold of it and said, I'm not going to do that anymore. When I buy a new dress, I'm going to donate one of the others. When I buy a pair of shoes, I'm going to give a pair of shoes away. That's kind of the routine that you're trying to get in. It's not to get rid of everything, not to eliminate the variety. You just want the right variety in place.